1045, ready for BFS uplink.
Copy, 1045.
We just heard that the white room is now closed out. Everything is situated, including the door, which was latched. As you may remember, on STS-126 in November, we had a small issue when the door was not latched completely, and did not cause any issue with the launch, but made sure doubly this time that it was.
And FCP copies. OTC NTD.
Go.
I'll give you 951.
OVCC, step 951.
OTC, PLT, horizontal sit config complete.
Copy that, and PLT will give you a go to perform your MPS helium reconfig.
OTC, MPS, helium reconfig is in work.
OTC, TL.
Go ahead.
I give you 942.
942, copy, and fill in for 943.
Going for 943. 14.76.
Copy.
STM NTD. STM. Step 953, provide video tracking of the bunker crew. Copy. OTC, PLT, MPS helium reconfig complete.
Copy.
And MPS can give you step 1051.
Copy. PVD OTC. Go ahead. Step 954. Copy that. CDR OTC.
Go ahead, OTC for CDR.
Is the BFS Ops 1 transition complete?
Yes, ma'am. My apologies for not reporting that.
Okay, copy that. And can you report the cabin pressurization for your checklist, please?
That's in work.
And all stations on 212, discontinue all non-mandatory LDB traffic for the remainder of count.
OTC, CDR.
Go ahead.
For the cabin press on the BFS System 1, indications are 14, that's 14.80.
Copy.
On panel 01, the meter reads 15.0, that's 15.0.
Copy that. CDR OTC.
The clock's just a few seconds away from entering the last of our planned built-in holds in 2, 1, T minus 9 minutes and holding. This is a scheduled hold that will last for about 45 minutes. Everything remains on course for launch of Space Shuttle Discovery at 7:43 p.m. Eastern Time. Once Discovery clears the tower, command and control of STS-119 switches to the Mission Control Center in Houston. At this time, we'll go there for an update from Kylie Klim.
Thanks, Candrea. Good afternoon and welcome to Mission Control Houston at T-minus 9 minutes and holding. Here at the Johnson Space Center, the Ascent Flight Control Team is on console in the Space Shuttle Flight Control Room. The team has been on shift since 2:30 this afternoon and is led by Flight Director Richard Jones, overseeing his first ascent. Astronaut George Zamko will serve as the Capcom or capsule communicator, making calls to Discovery's crew during the climb to orbit. Down the hallway in the International Space Station Flight Control Room, Flight Director Royce Renfrew is overseeing operations, and Robert Hanley is serving as Capcom. The Expedition 18 crew, Commander Mike Fink, and flight engineers Sandy Magnus and Yuri Lonchikov are wrapping up their day on board and are planning to view the launch of Discovery as it's uplinked live from Mission Control. At the time of launch, the International Space Station will be 224 miles above the Southern Ocean, just near Tasmania. Discovery is delivering a new space station resident to exchange places with Magnus. Astronaut Koichi Wakata, Japan's first long-duration space station crew member, is launching to the station just 1 year following the hatch opening of Japan's first element of its Kibo laboratory, which was installed on the station during STS-123. The flight control team here in the Shuttle Flight Control Room, along with the team at the Kennedy Space Center, is monitoring systems on the Space Shuttle Discovery. The teams are not working any issues affecting launch at this time. In addition to monitoring Discovery's systems, the team also has been evaluating the weather. That effort is led by Weather Flight Director Norm Knight and Weather Capcom astronaut Charlie Hobaugh. They're looking at both the launch site in the event of an emergency return to the shuttle landing facility and at the contingency runways in Spain and France. The primary transoceanic abort landing site is Zaragoza in Spain, with Morón, also in Spain, available if necessary. The weather conditions at both sites is favorable should either one be needed for an overseas landing. Throughout ascent, Capcom George Zamko will provide Discovery's crew with the status of the space shuttle's capability to reach the contingency landing sites and eventually orbit as Discovery gains speed and altitude. The first calls between Houston and the crew will be once Discovery clears the launch tower. That should be about to the onboard guidance and navigation control system, maneuvering the shuttle to a heads-down position, putting it on a precise course and trajectory towards space. About 30 seconds into the flight, Discovery's 3 main engines will throttle down to protect the vehicle as it passes through the area of maximum atmospheric pressure. The engines will operate at about 240,000 pounds of thrust for a few seconds, and then throttle back up to provide over 396,000 pounds of thrust. At 2 minutes and 3 seconds, the solid rocket boosters will burn out and separate from the vehicle, at which point Discovery will be traveling over 3,600 miles per hour. Discovery will continue toward orbit and its target speed of 17,500 miles per hour, at which point the engines will be turned off and the external fuel tank will separate. At main engine cutoff, 8.5 minutes into the flight, Discovery will be in a 136 by 36 statute mile orbit. About 30 minutes later, the orbit will be adjusted using the orbital maneuvering system engines to 142 by 98 statute miles, setting up for the on-orbit operations. All continues to go well here in the Space Shuttle Flight Control Room, with the team ready to take over the flight of Discovery and the STS-119 mission at solid rocket booster ignition. Back to Candrea at T-minus 9 minutes and holding. This is Mission Control Houston.
And we'll follow up with paper post T0.
We're now back here at Kennedy Space Center, and all continues to go well in getting ready for the launch tonight at 7:43 p.m. from NASA's Kennedy Space Center. Launch teams are not working any issues that would prohibit launch tonight on time. We do still have a bat attached to the external tank, but this is not a concern for the launch tonight.
I can give you step 1047. Copy 1047. CVFS, did you copy?
CVFS copies.
NTD, this is SRO 212.
Go ahead, SRO.
I was wondering the status on step 161065.
Still have our closeout crew departing the pad. We'll get that shortly.
Copy.
OTC, go ahead.
Clear hardware, caution and warning memory. Verify no unexpected errors.
OTC, hardware, caution, and warning, memory clear is in work. OTC, PLT, hardware, caution, and warning cleared, no unexpected errors.
Copy that.
Houston Flight NTD.
NTD Houston Flight, go ahead.
We're ready for step 1084, flight window determination with discussion on 231.
Roger that. I'll meet you on 231.
Thank you.
This is Shuttle Launch Control at T-minus 9 minutes and holding. We have just a little over 32 minutes left in this planned built-in hold. The mission for STS-119 will deliver the S6 truss segment and the fourth and final large set of solar array wings to the International Space Station. The arrays will provide 25% more power to the station and will fully power science experiments and support the station's crew expansion to 6 residents in May. We'll now go to the NASA News Center with Allard Butel with a look at the solar arrays. Allard?
Thanks, Kendra. We are sitting here with Carter Resnick, and he works for Boeing as the lead for the International Space Station external mechanisms. And he's here to tell us a little bit more about the fourth and final large set of solar arrays we're bringing up to the station. Carter, if you had to boil it down, and what you just heard Candria say it a minute ago, just pretty much in one sentence, the S6 and its solar panels pretty much provide more power for more science.
Yes, that's right. So we're going to bring up about 30 kilowatts of power with these 2 solar arrays up there, and we're going to be increasing the power for science by 50%.
So really, essentially doubling the amount of power available for science on this on the space station.
Right. That's right.
And overall, though, now we'll have all 4 sets of solar arrays. How much power will that provide for the station?
Yeah, overall, we're going to have, with the full complement of solar arrays up there, we'll have 120 kilowatts total power available for the space station. And we're bringing 25% of that up on this mission here.
And for people like me who have to understand what that means, that 120 kilowatts is roughly about, what, 42?
About 42 homes that are about 2,800 square feet. So it's like a neighborhood.
A pretty good sized neighborhood. Well, after the S6 is installed during the first spacewalk, that'll either be on flight day 6 or 8, depending on whether we have a focus inspection or not. And that's either Friday or Sunday if we launch today, when we launch today. Depending on that focus inspection, the solar arrays will then be deployed, and after that, this actually sounds kind of silly, but it's the way they're deployed is sort of like an old-fashioned road map.
Right. So we just happen to have this map of Florida here, and if you hold down the bottom, when these things come out of their blanket box, it is just like a sheet of paper, more or less. It's folded up accordion style, and the mast of the solar array pulls at the top of the blanket, and the solar array blanket comes up just like this right here.
And you do it in a very methodical way, right?
Yeah, we do. We've had some problems in the past with the deployment of the solar arrays, and so the way we'll be doing it this time is we go into what we call high tension mode, which means we're pulling down on the bottom with the maximum load we can, and we deploy them out halfway. And there's a hold at the halfway point, and we'll be warming up the blankets in the sun at that point. And after a 30-minute hold, we'll deploy them the rest of the way.
And that keeps them from, we've encountered in the past, a little bit of sticking.
Yeah, the blankets stick together a little bit, and so this reduces the amount of stiction that the blankets have.
Now, we have again, just coincidentally, happen to have a solar, part of a very small section of these 115-foot solar wings of their. Walk us through it for a second.
Yeah, okay. Right, so we have 2 solar arrays going up there. Each solar array is made up of 4 blankets. And so the blankets are what has the cells on them. These are the cells right here. So one of the 4 blankets is covered with these cells, and this is called a module, what we have right here. So if you take one module, there's about 410 modules on each blanket. What that means is one of these, about 5 wide and 82 long.
And each one of these little squares here, you've got more than 32,000, right?
That's right.
And
it's over 32,000 cells.
So as you know, we in the past few weeks we've been asking people to go to our website nasa.gov and to submit questions about this launch or Discovery's STS-119 mission to the space station. And one of the questions we got, let's see, we'd like to go right now because it is related to the solar arrays. Andrew from Comstock Park asks, what's the efficiency of the solar panels in converting the sun's energy to usable power for the space station?
Okay, so these cells are about 12% efficient, creating electricity out of the sun. The sun hits the cell, and photons of light come in and knock the electrons around. As the electrons move around in the matrix, that generates electrical current, and then the current is bled off with some copper circuits down below, and it comes over into these side cables over here, and these are copper traces that you see in the cable. So other things that decrease efficiency on solar array are damage to the array by MMOD, like micrometeoroid orbital debris, or over time the optical quality of the glass over the solar cells diminishes a little bit. And
being out of the sunlight?
Being out of the sunlight's a big hitter. You know, when we are in the eclipse of the Earth, which we do once in orbit usually, we go to 0 power out of the arrays. So.
All right. Carter Resnick, thank you for joining us and walking us through the S6 solar arrays. We're now going to go back to Candria Thomas in the Launch Control Center for the remainder of the countdown. Candria.
The shuttle launch control at T-minus 9 minutes in holding. We have just over 30 minutes left in this built-in hold. Launch teams are not working any issues that would delay launch tonight at 7:43 p.m. Eastern Time here from NASA's Kennedy Space Center.
Copy, not performed on both. Thank you. In Houston, flight NTD.
NTD Houston flight, go ahead.
Right, are you going to need step 1113, RTLS altimeter setting and such?
That is not required.
Copy.
This is Shuttle Launch Control at T-minus 9 minutes and holding. We have just about 26 minutes left in this planned built-in hold. Launch teams are not currently working any issues that would delay launch at 7:43 p.m. Eastern Time here from NASA's Kennedy Space Center. In just a few minutes, we'll sit down with Pete Nicolenko, the Assistant Launch Director, and get a first-hand look at how the countdown's been going. This is Shuttle Launch Control at T-minus 9 minutes and holding. I'm here in the firing room with Pete Nicolenko, Assistant Launch Director. Pete, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule over there and talking to us a little bit about what's been going on in the countdown and how things are going.
All right. Thanks, Kendria. Things have been going great. Many of you have been hearing about a couple of discussions we had. We do have a small bat that's still perched on our external tank, but we had some discussion about debris transport, and we have no issues with that bat remaining in place if he elects to stay for the ride with any potential debris. Also, we had some discussions earlier about some helium purge at a orbiter external tank disconnect, and we've resolved that, increased some purge, and we're all good to go on that. And so we've got no technical issues. Weather looks great, and crew's loaded. Everybody's ready to proceed with launch. We did just select our preferred launch time, which is at 7:43 and 44 seconds. Otherwise, all is go, and everything's looking good for launch this evening.
Excellent. So everything's on schedule, and I know that you're very, very busy, so we will let you get back and get through the launch countdown. So we're looking forward to a successful launch tonight.
We all are, and with the sunset occurring here in about 20 minutes, I think we're expecting a beautiful plume when we have the launch here in just a little more than a half an hour. So thanks, Kendria.
Thanks, Pete.
OTC to station E.
Go ahead.
Yes, wanted to give you 1137, HCS A, B, and Holmes Confidence checks complete. No anomalies noted.
Copy that.
Launch director entity.
Launch director.
Just pass along. The ground camera system is verified, ready to support launch.
Copy.
This is shuttle launch control at T-minus 9 minutes and holding. We have just about 16 minutes left in this planned built-in hold. Launch teams are not working any issues that would delay the 7:43 p.m. launch tonight here at NASA's Kennedy Space Center. As you can see on screen, this is a shot of a launch viewing area here at Kennedy Space Center, where thousands of people come to view the launches. Some people waving.
And that's affirmed.
Copy, thanks. STE entity.
STE, sir.
Okay, I still show one item on the list.
Sir, we're working. It's back with CMQC. It's getting back to CMQC right now. They just signed off the associated paperwork. Should be coming off any minute.
Copy that. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Entity CMQC.
Go ahead.
Yes, all items have been removed from the constraints list.
Copy. The constraints list is clear. Thank you.
Several polls are normally taken during this time to verify that the team is ready to proceed with launch. Mission Management Team Chair Mike Moses has pulled the members of the management team, and they are ready to proceed with the count. NASA Test Director Steve Payne and Launch Director Mike Leinbach will also conduct polls. Right now, launch teams are not working any issues that would delay the 7:43 planned launch this evening. Space Shuttle Discovery to the International Space Station here from NASA's Kennedy Space Center. We're at T-minus 9 minutes and holding. When the count resumes, the ground launch sequencer will be in control of all critical operations. The master computer program will issue all of the commands necessary to perform the final critical tasks required to put the shuttle in a final launch configuration. The ground launch sequencer monitors about 1,000 different critical orbiter functions during the final 9 minutes of the count to make certain they don't fall out of limit.
OTC PVD.
Go.
1118 is not performed, and I can give you 1121.
Copy.
CISL, JRPS, in Houston flight. Perform the L-15 recorder activation. ISL.
ISL copies, recorder activation and work.
Copy. RPS.
JRPS and work.
Flight. Houston flight entity. Houston flight entity.
Entity Houston flight, go ahead.
Okay, we just kicked off recorder activation.
Roger that.
MS1 OTC.
OTC, go ahead.
Activate the V10 recorder.
OTC, MS1, V10, recorder activation didn't work.
Attention on the net. This is the NTD conducting the launch status checks. All stations verify ready to resume count and go for launch. OTC?
OTC is go.
TBC?
TBC go.
TTC?
TTC is go.
LPS?
LPS is go.
Houston flight?
Houston flight is go.
Mila?
Mila is go.
STM? STM is go. Safety console?
Safety consoles go.
SPE?
SP is go.
LRD? LRD is go. SRO?
SRO is go. You have range clear to launch.
And CDR?
CDR is go.
Launch director NTD?
Launch director.
Launch team is ready to proceed.
Copy that, Steve. Thank you. I'll do my poll at this time. KC Chief Processing Engineer, verify no constraints to launch.
No constraints.
Thank you, Steve. KC Safety Mission Assurance.
KC Safety Mission Assurance is go, Mike.
Very good, Mark. Payload Launch Manager.
Mike, we'll go to launch S6. Thank you.
Copy, Bill. Range weather.
Winds are 150, 14 peak 19. Weather has no constraints for launch.
Copy, Kathy. Thank you. And Ops Manager.
Launch Director, Ops Manager of 212. The MMT isn't tracking any issues. We look real good. You're go to launch.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Discovery Launch Director.
Launch Director, go ahead for Discovery.
Okay, Brew. Well, you had a little bit of a wait, but that'll just make the payoff that much sweeter. So on behalf of the KC launch and processing teams, good luck and Godspeed.
Thanks, Mike, and congratulations to you and the entire team for getting Discovery ready for the 36th mission. And, it's truly an honor to be part of this team, representing all of NASA, our nation, and the international partners. Thanks for the work, Mike. We'll see you in a couple of weeks. Take care, and let's go ahead and fire up the Zone of Freedom.
Copy that, Brew. Thank you very much. NTD, with that, you are clear to launch Discovery.
Copy, clear to launch. Thank you.
This is Shuttle Launch Control at T-minus 9 minutes and holding. As you heard, NASA Test Director Steve Payne and Launch Director Mike Leinbach completed their polls and confirmed with Discovery Shuttle Commander Lee Archambault that everyone is ready and just awaiting the countdown to begin again before we launch Discovery to the International Space Station tonight. Scheduled for 7:43 p.m. Eastern here at NASA's Kennedy Space Center.
Attention on the net. The countdown clock will resume in 2 minutes.
NASA Test Director Steve Payne has verified we're ready to come out of this hold in about 2 minutes and proceed with the countdown to launch Discovery.
OTD ISL, record activation complete.
Copy complete. The countdown clock will start in 1 minute.
We're just a few seconds away from resuming the countdown for the launch of Space Shuttle Discovery today. Countdown clock will start in 4, 3, 2, 1, and we're at T-minus 9 minutes and counting.
VLS auto sequence has been initiated.
And the ground link launch sequencer has been initiated.
PLT, OTC, connect essential buses to fuel cells per your checklist.
OTC, PLT, that's in work.
The orbiter test conductors just requested that Houston send stored program command that will make the orbiter compatible with the downrange tracking stations.
OTC, PLT, essential buses connected to fuel cells.
Copy.
GLS is go for orbiter access arm retract.
Discovery, OTC, best wishes as you bring ISS with full power. Enjoy the ride tonight.
The orbiter access arm is now being retracted away from the vehicle. And this is the walkway used by the crew to gain entry into and out of Discovery. It can be returned to position within seconds if necessary. T-minus 6 minutes, 30 seconds and counting.
Start APU display recorders.
Recorder's running.
PLT, OTC, perform APU pre-start.
OTC, APU pre-starts in work.
The orbiter test conductor has given pilot Tony Antonelli the go-ahead to perform the auxiliary power unit pre-start procedure.
OTC, PLT, APU pre-start complete.
Copy.
Tony Antonelli reports that the pre-start of the auxiliary power units is complete. APU activation will come in just a few seconds.
TLS is go for orbiter APU start.
PLT, OTC, perform APU start.
APU starts inward.
CDR, OTC, reconfigure heaters.
We have a go for APU start.
OTC, PLT, APU start, and heater reconfig complete.
Copy.
TLS is go for PERT sequence 4.
The launch team has terminated liquid oxygen replenish to the external tank and is now initializing LOX drain back. T-minus 3 minutes, 14 seconds and counting.
TLS is go for ET LO2 pressurization.
Final pressurization of the external tank's liquid oxygen tank is underway.
PLT, clear caution and warning memory. Verify no unexpected errors.
That's inward. OTC, caution warning clear, no unexpected errors.
Copy. And Discovery, close and lock your visors and initiate O2 flow.
That's inward.
The gaseous oxygen vent hood is slowly being retracted away from the top of the external tank.
TLS is go for ET LH2 pressurization.
Liquid hydrogen replenish on the external tank is now being terminated. T-minus 1 minute, 30 seconds. T-minus 1 minute and counting.
TLS is go for auto sequence start.
25.
And we have a go for auto sequence start. Discovery's onboard computers have primary control of all the vehicle's critical functions.
15.
12. 10.
TLS is go for main engine start.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. and booster ignition and liftoff of Space Shuttle Discovery, taking the space station to full power for full science.
This is Mission Control Houston.
Discovery roll program.
Roger, roll, Discovery.
Discovery's roll maneuver is complete. It is now in a heads-down position on track for its flight to the International Space Station. Discovery flying 365 miles per hour, 1.5 miles in altitude, 7 miles downrange from the Kennedy Space Center. Discovery's engines are throttling down as the orbiter passes through the area of maximum pressure on the vehicle.
Discovery, go at throttle up.
Discovery, go at throttle up.
3 main engines on board are throttling back up. Now 1 minute, 12 seconds into the flight, Discovery flying at 1,800 miles per hour, 10 miles in altitude, and 11.5 miles downrange from the Kennedy Space Center. At liftoff, the fully fueled shuttle, boosters, and external tank weighed 4.5 million pounds. The total thrust at launch was 6,425,000 pounds. All systems continue to function well. 3 good main engines, 3 good power generating fuel cells, and 3 good auxiliary power units for the hydraulic system. We will now stand by for burnout and separation of the solid rocket boosters. Combined, the twin boosters provide 5.3 million pounds of thrust to propel the orbiter toward space. Discovery now flying 3,600 miles per hour, 32 miles in altitude, 43 miles downrange from the Kennedy Space Center.
Discovery, 2-engine TAL.
2-engine TAL.
Discovery can reach a transoceanic abort landing in the event of a single engine failure. However, all 3 main engines are still operating well. Discovery now flying at 4,300 miles per hour, 48 miles in altitude, and 83 miles downrange from the Kennedy Space Center. Now 3 minutes and 37 seconds into the flight, Discovery continuing on its path to orbit, flying at 5,000 miles per hour, 56 miles in altitude, and 127 miles downrange.
Discovery, negative return.
Discovery copies, negative return.
Discovery is now flying too high and too fast to return to the Kennedy Space Center and the Space Shuttle landing facility in the event of an engine failure. Now 4 minutes, 15 seconds into the flight, Discovery flying at 6,000 miles per hour, 62 miles in altitude, and 177 miles downrange. Four minutes, 50 seconds into the flight, Discovery continuing on path, flying at 7,000 miles per hour, 65 miles in altitude, and 235 miles downrange.
Discovery, press to ATO.
Discovery, press to ATO.
5 minutes, 26 seconds into the flight, Discovery can reach a lower than planned but a safe orbit on 2 engines should one fail. However, all 3 engines are still performing well.
Discovery, single engine ops 3.
Single engine ops 3.
Discovery could conduct a transatlantic abort landing on 1 engine should 2 fail at this point. Discovery flying at 9,000 miles per hour. Discovery's engines have been commanded to swivel to put the orbiter in the proper heads-up position.
Engine Zaragoza 104.
Single engine Zaragoza 104.
Discovery can reach Zaragoza on 1 engine should 2 fail at this point.
Discovery, press to MECO.
Press to MECO.
Discovery can reach the planned orbit on 2 engines. All 3 engines continue to operate well. Six minutes, 40 seconds into the flight, Discovery flying at 11,000 miles per hour, 66 miles in altitude.
Your shutdown plan is nominal. Go for the plus X, no go the pitch.
Discovery, nominal shutdown, go for the plus X, no go for the pitch.
Discovery, single engine press 104, good readback.
Single engine press 104.
Discovery can reach its planned orbit on 1 engine should 2 fail. However, all 3 still performing well at 104%. Seven minutes, 35 seconds into the flight, the engines are now throttling down to maintain structural limits on the orbiter as it approaches loads near 3 times gravity. Discovery flying at 14,800 miles per hour, 64 miles in altitude, and 700 miles downrange from the Kennedy Space Center. Main engine cutoff is confirmed.
Discovery, Houston, nominal MECO, ohms 1 not required.
Copy that, ohms 1 not required.
And external tank separation is confirmed. Now 8 minutes, 57 seconds into the flight, Discovery in orbit, flying at 17,500 miles per hour. On board Discovery, Commander Lee Archambault in the commander's seat, the left front seat. To his right, pilot Tony Antonelli. Seated between them and behind them is flight engineer Steve Swanson. To his right, mission specialist Joe Acaba. Down on the middeck are mission specialist Ricky Arnold next to the hatch. On the opposite side is mission specialist John Phillips, and between them is space station flight engineer Koichi Wakata on his way to the International Space Station.
page 3-2.
Discovery, Brew, we are following along with you, 3-2.
The crew on board the Space Shuttle Discovery now setting up for the on-orbit operations. The first orbital maneuvering system engine burn, called the OMS-1, not necessary as Discovery has reached its planned orbit. The OMS-2 burn to more circularize the orbit of Discovery is scheduled for 27 minutes from now. We're now inside the Space Shuttle Flight Control Room where the team is monitoring the Space Shuttle Discovery and her systems. The team will follow along with the activities of the crew on board, going through the post-insertion checklist after Discovery has reached orbit.
Discovery, Houston, we show a 4-minute maneuver. On page 3-6, we'll take MPS ISOL as written, as well as the GH2 inerting, and the MPS power down will take on time.
Houston, Discovery copies a 4-minute maneuver. We're with you on 3-6. Tony's going to start the MPS ISOL, the GH2 inerting, and he'll give you the MPS power down on time.
Good copy, Discovery.
Discovery. Phase 3-6 is complete. We're moving over to 3-7. Antonelli's going to get the ET umbilical doors at this time if you're ready.
Discovery will take that as written.
That's in work.
This is Mission Control Houston, 28 minutes into the flight of the Space Shuttle Discovery for STS-119. The crew on board continuing through procedures to set up for the on-orbit operations. They are working through the post-insertion checklist and coordinating those activities with Mission Control. They have activated the flash evaporator system and heaters to help with cooling of the orbiter and systems until the payload bay doors are opened. They have set up for the orbital maneuvering system engine 2 burn to help circularize the orbit of Discovery, which is scheduled to take place in less than 10 minutes. And the crew is also working on closing the external tank umbilical door.
Houston Discovery for the timeline.
Discovery Houston, go ahead, Brew.
Yes, Ambo, we're on page 3-8. We're going to stand by just for a second on the 08 switch throws, but in the meantime, I'm going to give you the maneuver at this time if you're ready.
We're ready for that, Brew. Sounds like a great plan. Discovery Houston, we are about 2 minutes to a handover.
Discovery copies.
Discovery Houston, we see you in a good config for the burn.
Discovery, good config for the burn.
This is Mission Control Houston. In about a minute and a half, Discovery's orbital maneuvering system engines, the twin rockets, will be used to circularize Discovery's orbit to that of 142 by 98 statute miles. The burn will be about a minute long. propulsion officer here in Mission Control reports that both of the engines are burning and all is working well for this OMS 2 burn.
Discovery Houston, good burn. No further trim required.
Discovery copies. No further trim required.
Discovery's crew has completed the orbital maneuvering system engines burn to circularize Discovery's orbit. The crew then will work through procedures to reconfigure systems and the cabin for the on-orbit operations following Discovery's ascent this evening. Now 40 minutes into the flight.
Houston, Discovery kicking off the gimbal checks.
Discovery Brew, thank you. We are watching.
Houston, Discovery, the gimbal check is complete, and Tony's working on the old RCS post-burn reconfig.
Discovery Houston copies. We're following along. No deltas to the OMS RCS post-burn reconfig, and we'll be ready for Ops 106 when you get there.
Okay, Zamba, thanks. As written on 5-2, and then Ops 106 when we get there. Appreciate it.
Good copy.
Houston, Discovery.
Go ahead, Discovery.
Hey, Zambo, Archambault, while we're finishing up the pages 5-2 and 5-3, Joe would like to put in work block 3 for the post-insertion procedure.
Crew, we're ready for block 3 and post-insertion.
That's been work, thank you.
This is Mission Control Houston, now 45 minutes into the STS-119 mission, a 13-day mission to the International Space Station. The crew on board Discovery is setting up for the on-orbit operations en route to the station now, with the docking scheduled for Tuesday afternoon, just after 4 p.m. Central Time.
Houston, Discovery from the mid-deck, ready to put Block 2 in work.
Discovery Houston, we copy. Block 2 is in work. We'll watch.